It actually started from a little curiosity. It dates back to February 2 years ago when I first read this short article by chance. 92% of the visually impaired people enjoy watching television. When I first read this article, I thought it was a lie or a false report because, for me, the image of the visually impaired was like a person with black sunglasses and white cane. So I didn't have any deep understanding of the visual impairment. So I searched the web and I just realized that 86% of the visually impaired people have low vision, which means totally blind people only account for 14%. So I thought there could be some way to improve their and make the best of their residual vision. So I started this project. Well, I made two presuppositions when I started this project. Well, I just realized that most of the visually impaired people hesitate to buy a new visual aid because they are way too expensive. So if I make this device, my own device should not be expensive. And the second thing is that most of the visually impaired people already use the smartphones. So if I can utilize those smartphones that they already have, then I can make it more affordable. So I made these two presuppositions. And this is my concept of device. So basically, the rear camera of the smartphone captures images that you're looking at, and the Rillumino application inside the smartphone processes these images in real time, making them visually impaired friendly. Or my device can directly receive the video signal from the monitors or television so they can actually watch it right in front of their eyes. So this is my hypothesis that this image is what we normally see, but for the visually impaired, it looks like this. It's quite blurry and obscure, so they can't recognize what it is. But if I apply some sort of images, since the visually impaired people develop a low contrast sensitivity, so I suppose that if I apply some sort of a binary image like this, then the visually impaired people could actually recognize images more easily. And also, this is the headline of the television news, and it also is quite blurry, so they can't recognize any text. So by applying this kind of binary image, they could recognize and actually read the text. So I applied this idea to C-Lab because it was very clumsy and the performance was very poor. But anyway, I had to prove that my prototype, my theory, my hypothesis was correct. So I brought my first prototype just 2 months after I started C-Lab and went to the welfare center for the blind. So the next video is the actual feedback from the first user who tried 릴루미노. So let's take a look.
어느 정도 의견을 좀 드릴 수 있을까요? 전혀 안 보인다 아니면 뭔가 어른거리는 게 보인다 아니면
전혀 안 보이는데요.
Yes. So the result was a total failure. So I was so frustrated and I was at a loss as to how to go about it. It didn't exactly bolster my confidence. So I just thought myself that, okay, just 2 months has passed, so it's not too late to tell the company that I was wrong, so I want to go back to my previous work. I'm out. But I didn't give up. There was no turning back. So I just contemplated upon my failure. So I tried to figure out what was wrong. And then I just realized that just because they are visually impaired doesn't mean they are colorblind. So actually there was no need to apply this kind of binary image to the visually impaired. So I had to change my hypothesis and made the second assumption. So I tried to adapt some sort of color images, but it was easier said than done because it took me quite a lot of time to find the best options of colors to actually help those visually impaired to actually see something. So anyway, we visited a lot of visually impaired people, and did a lot of field tests over and over again, and then we developed a lot of algorithms like this. So the Rillumino has a lot of functions like edge enhancement, contrast enhancement, blind spot remapping, distortion correction, color invert, color filters. So the Rillumino is kind of a combination of all these different algorithms to enhance the sight of the visually impaired. So this is how Rillumino works. So it's quite blurry. So the blurry and obscure image can be clearer, so actually the visually impaired people can see it. And also, these texts is quite illegible, so it becomes legible using the color contrast. And some people have a central vision defect. This is called macular degeneration. So these people can't have an eye contact with other people because there's always a problem in the central area of their eyes. And if this goes worse, it looks like this blind spot in the center. So we remap the image in the scotoma in the central area to the left or right side to the visible portion of the area, so the visually impaired people actually can see it. So so it took a lot of time to implement these kind of all those functions. And then we went to the welfare center for the blind, and I was able to get the clinical evidence. So I decided to register it as a medical device. So now Rillumino is registered with the FDA as a Class 1 medical device. So VR is normally used for entertainment, like watching videos or playing games, but Rillumino exemplifies how this fun gadget can be utilized to improve the quality of the handicapped people. There are 250 million of visually impaired people in the world. So technically 1 out of 30 people are visually impaired. But do you encounter a visually impaired out of 30 pedestrians on the street? Where are they going? So my dream is to make a device and help them enjoy their ordinary life that we normally take it for granted. Thank you very much.